Batman Arkham Knight turns a decade old. The conclusion of the series that redefined what it meant to be a AAA superhero video game, but also the most divisive entry into the franchise. Batman Arkham Knight is the fine wine of the Arkham series. It was tasked with one question: how do you improve upon perfection? Its answer: even in the odds. As with any trilogy, it's given two tasks: to pay homage to those entries that came before it, and to satisfyingly conclude the story it had told. In the attempt to do so, it divided many fans through both its gameplay additions and through its narrative beats. One thing is clear though: this is the ultimate Batman game. It's also a very personal entry for reasons that I will give later on. For me, Batman Arkham was built upon the foundation of the animated series. The Arkham games served as my childhood, continuing from the bricks built from the animated show. The difference being, you're the Batman. This didn't just feel like the conclusion of the Arkham franchise, but the conclusion to my journey with Kevin Conroy's Batman, my Batman. To fulfill the arcs undergone by his rogues gallery, to experience the consequences of his mistakes, to carry the burden of an entire city on his shoulders, all whilst battling his worst fears. In 85 years of the character, Kevin Conroy's version is the definitive one to me. The Batman Arkham franchise is my favourite franchise in video games, and Arkham Knight is the one that I enjoy talking about the most, because it's fascinating how its gameplay systems are timeless and have gone on to inspire so many other games, how I've swayed back and forth on my feelings for its narrative and story, its subtle, iconic Rocksteady Easter eggs and foreshadowing, the Batmobile's excitement but its hindrance, the fulfillment of many villain arcs and the untapped potential of others, the included but underutilised Bat family dynamic to the conclusion of the Hamill-Conroy duo that had spanned generations. So, let's get to it then. This is how it happened. This is the legacy of Batman Arkham Knight.
You were there at the beginning. And now, you get to see how it ends. Gotham needs something more, something worse to defend her. She needs a new myth. A legend more powerful than I can be right now. A legend that can only rise from the ashes of the Batman. This is the last time we meet. I am vengeance.
I am the Knight. I am Batman.
I've mentioned before about how Arkham is incredibly important to me personally. My obsession with the Arkham Asylum demo on PlayStation 3, getting every possible gaming magazine to get new info on both Asylum and City. How playing Arkham City was the first time that I stopped and marvelled at the design of a video game that opened me up to looking at game systems and the genius behind the encounters rather than just playing them and moving on. That after Arkham City, I changed the way that I thought about video games. Arkham Knight is important to me in a completely different way. This game dropped in the most challenging years of my own life, when I battled and struggled really hard with depression, with self-worth, and really had hit rock bottom. This game couldn't have hit a more perfect time for me, and it helped me in two different ways. Be able to immerse myself in this world, hunt down every side quest, gather all the Riddler trophies, and just forget about how I felt for a while, and let me escape. The other comes to the game's central narrative. Batman's battles with his own deepest fears, his biggest failures, and in a way, a battle with his own mental health that translates as the Joker. It's weird to say you idolise the Batman because of his brutal, lonely nature and the trauma that's been inflicted on him and he inflicts on others, but I think it's often forgotten that he is a symbol of hope. So to see him go through that mental battle with the Joker, to battle his past demons, attempt to make things right, and to fight and beat his biggest fears was something that I never really realised at the time, but it helped inspire me to continue to fight mine. I'm not saying that Batman Arkham Knight fixed my mental health, but often video games are widely viewed by many as destructive to people, as obsessive to people, and I want this to be a reminder in what many see as just a superhero, simple video game, helped me to continue a fight that I was constantly losing. So, the story of Batman Arkham Knight then. First of all, we're talking about one of my favourite openings to a video game. I mean nothing but chills every time. From the Joker being burned in the incinerator, Gordon's opening monologue as the villains run rampant across the city, to the camera spanning, to the watchful Guardian seeing it all unfold. Outstanding. There's two key aspects to the story of Arkham Knight: the Arkham Knight himself and the plot of Batman descending into becoming the Joker in a race against time. Many people guessed that the Arkham Knight would turn out to be Jason Todd, despite Rocksteady's attempt to obscure that reveal by calling them an entirely original character. I kind of put this in the same contention of how Spider-Man dealt with Otto Octavius in 2018's Marvel Spider-Man, in the sense that you know this reveal is coming once you encounter the character, but it's the lead up to it that matters. Personally, I remember being underwhelmed when this game launched with that reveal, but over time, and with each subsequent playthrough, it's a thread I've enjoyed more and more. One of my biggest disappointments with Arkham series in general is how underutilised the Bat family are, often relegated to bit parts like Robin's role in City, or them being confined to side missions in Arkham Knight. In terms of mainstream Batman, outside the comics, we don't really have many great Bat family representations. So, to see the repercussions for this Bruce in one of his sidekicks now out to get revenge on him, I think was a good choice. I also imagine for those not well versed in Batman lore, this reveal was fantastic. And I think for what the culmination of this Batman's journey is in a story about fear, to see a boy that he took in and trained out to do nothing but ruin his life is a fitting tale for this narrative. Was every execution about it perfect? No, but looking back at it now, I do like what it adds to the narrative. It's the right accompanying piece to what Scarecrow's plan was. Which brings us to the Joker. Am I in the camp that for the love of God, can we please stop doing the Joker in every piece of Batman media? Yes. Please, give me Mr. Freeze in the Batman 2, or the League of Assassins in Brave of the Bold, or Hush, or Killer Croc. Thank you. And was I mad that the Origins main villain once again turned out to be the Joker? And to get him again here? Yes, at the time I was. But as I said at the very top, this is the fitting conclusion of the Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill partnership that had spanned my entire life. Also, he's just fucking funny here.
Oh, you wait there, Bats. Let your dear old Uncle Jay sort out these chumps.
Guards! Open fire! Shoot everything! Now!
What a wanker. Let's put him out of business, eh? Seriously? Do you believe that accent? Bet he only puts it on to sound scary.
Joker just constantly teasing you how real he feels in the world, that he's almost tangible. I said that trilogies are about two things: a fitting conclusion and paying homage to what came before it. So the Joker's blood being fused into Batman during Arkham City, having repercussions here, is the kind of through line that I'm referring to. I do think, as a result of these two additions, that Scarecrow's role, at least physically, is diminished, but Arkham Knight and the Joker act as a vehicle to the fear that Scarecrow wants to inflict. What Arkham Knight does really well is capture Batman's descent into madness. The regular enemies turn into multiple Jokers, him believing Barbara is dead, how the city around you changes in its landscapes with Joker faces, I think goes so far into helping make this descent believable. A role that I really appreciate is Ivy's role in Arkham Knight. Something again that we see in many hero adaptations is that despite their wrongdoings, there is redemption. Whether it's Jason's U-turn at the end to help Bruce, or it's Ivy's sacrifice to help relieve Gotham of the fear toxin, there's something about a good redemption story that is built up over time. The final stretch of the game is something I've appreciated more and more as the years go on. From the fight with Jason, which was not good at the time and still is not good, to the standoff with Jim, Barbara, Scarecrow and Batman on the roof. Gordon knowing where to shoot Batman and his armor to protect him, Batman swooping in to save Barbara, and then of course Lucius sending in Batmobile 2.0 because he's always working on something more. Of course, the final moments too. The realization that there's no going back. He'd failed one Robin and he had to give himself up to save another. This finale is not just Rocksteady at the best, but it's Kevin and Mark too. From the Batman finally snapping at the crime alley vision and completing his transformation as the Joker, to getting this alternate timeline version of the Joker in Batman's body with the Jokermobile and swapping to first person with a shotgun as he brutally finishes off Batman's rogues gallery one by one. But it's from here I think it's just so good. All game we've played with the idea of Batman's biggest fears coming to fruition, but this time it's the Joker's. From the Joker hearing that Batman has a different arch nemesis on the radio, to just Harley turn up at the funeral, we see Joker's fear of being forgotten with Batman manipulating it, and then we get that perspective shift. We're in the graveyard and all these terrifying statues of Batman spawning, and we are finally on the opposite end of just how scary it is to be hunted by the Bat. And it all leads up to that staple moment. A moment that has been the dynamic of my childhood. A defining Batman moment.
You're afraid of being ashes. You're afraid of being forgotten.
And you will be forgotten, Joker. Because of me. I am vengeance.
I am the Knight. I am Batman.
Acknowledging the deepest fears and locking them away. A moment that resonated with me and my own mental health battles at the time. The iconic line by my iconic Batman. Incredible. And then Batman makes the Master of Fear taste his own tactic. And I just love the shot at the end as he puts his mask back on and the symbol brings the screen to black. And from there, the Nightmare Batman was born. Of course, that's just the main narrative of Arkham Knight. And whilst I may have gained more affection for it over the years, I have unfortunately increased my distaste for how many other plot threads were unsatisfyingly wrapped up. But before we touch on those, we have to talk about the gameplay to give context. A premise of Batman Arkham I've always loved is the idea of playgrounds. Batman Arkham Asylum, you're on hostile turf, but you're not trapped in there with them, they're trapped in there with you. In Batman Arkham City, you're playing Raish's game. Arkham Knight, Gotham is your playground. From the GCPD's monitoring towers, Lucius Fox's upgrades to the Batmobile, Batman Arkham Knight's premise is becoming the Knight and evening the odds. Arkham Knight finally delivered on the addition of adding a Batmobile, but this would become one of the game's greatest flaws. When the Batmobile simply performs as intended, chasing down Firefly, pulling down walls, launching across gaps, the Batmobile is an excellent addition to the game. But in order to validate its existence, Rocksteady went the extra mile in creating what is the Bat Tank. Now, had the Bat Tank simply existed for a few encounters towards the end of the game, then the sentiment towards it would be wholly different. But instead, it massively infringes upon the design of many of the game's systems and encounters, from Riddler trophies, environmental puzzles, many major combat scenarios, to full-blown boss fights. Yes, Batman is known for his versatility in gadgets, suits and vehicles, but not like this. Batman Arkham Knight is at its best when it lets you just be the Batman, and at its worst when it's Batman Arkham World of Tanks. The tank simulator stuff is functionally fine and it has some nice upgrades, but the problem is that just being Batman is world class. I maintain to this day, Batman Arkham Knight is the best feeling superhero game to date. Yes, traversal is more fun in Marvel Spider-Man, but the hand-to-hand combat in Arkham Knight is just sublime. It's a tactical rhythm mini-game that has your surface level basics, but with so much depth. Sure, you can strike and counter, but you can stun, mantle, quickfire gadgets, perform enhanced takedowns, use powered up gadgets, all alongside a combo meter that is just this pure dopamine rush. There are many games that have taken inspiration from Arkham Combat, But what makes Arkham stand out is that it doesn't feel predetermined. And in games that I love like Ghost of Tsushima, often enemies will only attack one at a time as you only have the tools to defend against one. In Arkham Knight, you may have someone load up a gun, be about to charge at you, or 3 enemies striking at once requiring a triple tap of that counter button, and you have multiple tools to deal with the various threats. That's what helps make it so satisfying, not to mention the zippy nature in which you can bounce between the various enemies. Every good superhero game demands the exciting suit up moment, so what better way than to pair this amazing looking Batsuit with a mechanic that fulfills Batman's stealth fantasy in fair takedowns. Arkham Knight presents the greatest amount of flexibility in the franchise in how to approach a scenario. I will keep referencing the animated series, but Batman shows in general I'm talking about here, in terms of striking from the shadows and taking out multiple enemies at a time, is finally captured in Arkham Knight, of swooping in, taking out 4 or 5 guys and disappearing to the shadows, leaving the rest of the enemies absolutely shitting their pants. But it's not just the fear mechanic, it's the options of the grapple gun being able to chain to explosives, the disruptor taking out the mines or sabotaging a medic pack, the smoke pellet creating a scene for you to go in, take someone out and leave an unconscious corpse disgruntled on the floor, all the way to the voice synthesizer commanding an enemy to get them to a more appealing spot for a takedown. So many options, and Knight was the full realization of being the Bat. For as much as Batman is the brute in the shadows, he's also a tactician, and Knight hit that aspect too. And that didn't just apply to the stealth, by the way, but to hand-to-hand combat as well. Failure to take out medics early in an encounter would make things harder, as it would charge up the grunts or revive them after you knocked them out. And he'd often be placed in encounters with medics and knives and ninjas and armoured brutes and sometimes turrets, meaning he'd have to use stealth and hand-to-hand combat simultaneously. So now we've spoken about the gameplay, this brings us back around to those side stories. A combat model so good, I replay this game every year. I've done all the challenge rooms, so surely Deathstroke, the rematch we've all been waiting for, is going to be worthwhile. We've taken down every militia captain, neutralised every bomb, took out every outpost. This is it. This is the moment. I'm sorry, what? It's a tank battle? You gotta be fucking joking. Really, this is where the Batmobile stunk. I could get around many of the tank encounters if significant boss fights against both Arkham Knight, Deathstroke, and even Mr. Freeze's side story weren't relegated to tank battles. I love the variety present in Knight's side stories, but any Batmobile tank section is just not what I want out of a key moment in a Batman game, main story or side. As I say, whilst the main story is something I've admired more as time has passed, there are 3 key threads from prior games that I just cannot fathom. The first being that Deathstroke rematch being confined to a tank battle. Ah yes, we've created our best combat kit yet against the Master Assassin. Let's put them in a stealth tank scenario. The other 2 being the most exciting, promising threads from Arkham City, getting nowhere near reaching their potential in Knight. Let me tell you, when I did the Azrael side quest in Batman Arkham City, my brain was bursting with ideas of what's to come. What's the reckoning? What could this mean? What's Azrael's part? Only to just have Azrael do combat encounters and you decide whether to help him on his way or lock him up. It was a cool revealing decision, sure, but when you think about that chilling, warning setup that took place in Arkham City, it was incredibly disappointing. The other being Hush, of course. A plot about Bruce's biggest fears, the damage Hush could have done to the Wayne name makes it all the more disappointing that after his extreme hate for the Wayne name, all he does is walk into Wayne Tower and threaten Lucius. Just disappointing side quest, man, that had huge promise. Hush as well being one of the all-time great Batman stories, and a reveal that was 11 out of 10 in Arkham City, relegated to a 2 out of 10 side story in Knight. My favourite side content came in the form of the Bat family. I am a Batfam enthusiast, and the idea that a combat model that is already so good gets enhanced by being able to fight alongside other members of the Bat family blew my childhood mind. Without doubt, the best scenario in the game for this is back with Robin in dealing with the escaped Joker threats. I love the variety here. In the stealth scenarios, allowing Robin to swoop in, take an enemy out, all the way to dual taking down the big brutes. Of course, this is also where we meet Johnny Charisma, and you thought we'd get through the video without talking about this banger? Take me on home to the asylum. Take it away, Johnny boy!
Never alone in the asylum. Anarchy ruled, it was wild, but through it all you never smiled. Joke's on you, so look who's laughing now. Remember in Arkham City.
But yeah, the side stories where you can team up with Robin or Nightwing were personally my favourites because of how complicated the Bat family dynamic can be. The trauma and the relationship, a father figure, but in an unordinary manner. I actually thought that Rocksteady did a good job in Batman's message in goodbye to both of them. There is of course the DLCs that help complete the package that is Arkham Knight. Season of Infamy in particular helped resolve many arcs that have been long standing and provided my favourite side stories. Freeze's desire to do anything for Nora that really is the most character driven side story in the Arkham franchise, and I really do believe that. It's quite a fitting finale for the complex character that Freeze is. The final monologue as he says goodbye is very touching. Killer Croc being one of the few actual boss fights that again I love because we got to team up with Nightwing to help take him down, alongside deciding the future of the League of Assassins, as we all knew Rage was still alive after the events of City, and for someone who was relatively inexperienced at the time with the League of Shadows, I personally love this one and the different motivations and factions at play. One I think often goes overlooked is the Mad Hatter mission. I think it's the most underrated one. Getting to basically go through the Arkham games in this cool storyboard, fighting all the familiar enemies in this storybook background, I thought was a lovely final touch to help me relive the journey that I'd taken along the way. I'll be honest though, I did not enjoy the Riddler trophies in Arkham Knight. It was saved by the opportunity to team up with Catwoman on multiple occasions, and of course, trigger the true ending of Nightfall, where we see Nightfall Batman after the explosions of Wayne Manor. Just so many of them, man. One of Suicide Squad's biggest regrets for me was not letting me put a fucking bullet in this guy's brain. Enough with the goddamn fucking trophies, alright? And whilst I didn't care too much for the narrative of the expansion's missions, I love getting one-off missions for many playable characters and how they function. It's amazing that even though the core of the free-flow combat model translates to every character, just how little tweaks made every character feel unique. The light versatility of Nightwing's charisma sticks to the heavyweight akimbo pistols of Red Hood. I really enjoyed the theme of each story pack too. From seeing Harley bust Ivy out of GCPD and fighting Nightwing at the end, and seeing the visuals that played into Harley's perspective was so cool for its time. Honestly, the Robin and Nightwing ones are a little bit whatever. Hearing Tim talk to Barbara about Batman had some nice moments though. Catwoman's revenge finally tasking us with beating the fuck out of the Riddler, as we've all wanted to do for a long time. Little prick. Playing as Red Hood, who could straight up shoot people with his pistols. And I'll say it now, Red Hood's combat model should have been the blueprint for the Suicide Squad game. The best DLC of course came to A Matter of Family. So long had Batgirl been confined to the boots of Oracle after Joker shot her in the spine, but a prequel DLC set before Asylum, seeing her and Tim work together was a really refreshing DLC. Not to mention a fucking Starro Easter egg. I mean, how clean was that Batgirl suit as well? Very sick DLC. Speaking of Easter eggs, this was Rocksteady's bread and butter. We'd had the secret room in the Asylum, Scarecrow's underboat cave in Arkham City, but man did Rocksteady do it again here. From spelled out ones like the Statue of Justice being Joker-fied alongside many billboards, to Queen Industries, LexCorp, Black Canary Club, voicemails from Kate Kane aka Batwoman, a GCPD list with John Jones' name on it, to then activating the Nightfall ending and Calendar Man being there as he promised he would be at Batman's end. So many things, including the missing people at Paulie's Diner being infused with Joker's blood, to Jason Todd being the man in the Red Hood at the diner as the credits confirm. There's like hour-long videos on this stuff that truly cements the Arkham games as not only the finest Easter eggs, but world building too. It's incredible to think this game is 10 years old. I mean, look at it! If this game dropped in 2025, nobody would bat an eye at its visual presentation. One thing I think is often neglected when it comes to talking about superheroes is how the city is a character. New York with Spider-Man, Metropolis with Superman, and finally here, Gotham realised in Arkham Knight. Rocksteady have always been outstanding in their world building, but I think Arkham Knight was their best work. Yes, we can't forget about that disastrous PC port at launch, but 10 years on, this is the most realised version of Gotham I've seen. I've mentioned the animated series so many times, but with the rain and the lightning here, it's never felt more aligned. From the huge skyscrapers to signs pointing to Central City, Rocksteady never say, hey look, Superman exists in this world, but you feel like you're living in the DC universe. It's also a criminal offence that for those players that are just on console, that they have not experienced this game at 60 FPS because oh my god, does it sing. It's a game with just so much content and so much replayability that I do replay it every year. Whether it's the movie inspired Batmobile tracks, the team up combat missions, or just patrolling the streets of Gotham, Batman Arkham Knight is the perfect Batman package. It's a flawed game that fails to capitalise on aspects and threads that it developed and teased for years, to squandering the potential of the Batmobile in making it tedious and repetitive. But I maintain, there is no greater feeling superhero game out there. Every playthrough, I'm more and more disappointed by exciting teasers just fizzling out, and exciting encounters reduced to back tank standoffs. Yet, I never realised how good I had it. Taking 9 years to get to Suicide Squad that ended support after a year. And we just don't get many games like this now. In that 10 to 15 hour mark that I can just play year after year, that gave me additional content, even if it was just map packs of doing combat that was so good and so addicting. So yeah, it missed the mark on some exciting threads, and yeah, the Batmobile should have been a slam dunk and it wasn't. But I look back on this game 10 years later, and I recognise what an important video game this was for me. That despite its imperfections, no experience has truly captured the feeling of being the Batman like Arkham Knight did. That as someone who grew up on the Batman animated series, who watched Kevin and Mark go toe to toe with each other for decades, that this was the fitting conclusion I needed for me personally. The legacy of Batman Arkham Knight isn't that it's a perfect Batman game, but it is the definitive one that would inspire superhero games for years to come, and it's one that concluded a chapter of Batman that had spanned decades of my life. Thank you so much for watching this video. I put a lot into it, so if you are still here, I really do appreciate it. I want to hear your thoughts on Arkham Knight, your memories, your favourite moments, your criticisms as the game turns 10 years old. If you enjoyed, of course, leaving a like helps me out a lot, and if you don't know by now, superhero games, I gotcha. News, reviews, guide streams, the full shebang. Consider subscribing, I would love to have you. All socials are linked below as always. I hope you have a terrific day, play games, get gains, and I will catch you in the next one.